Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Awesome Sunday Show. Pat here.
And Connor's kind of here.
Yeah, kind of here is a good way to put it. He is feeling like shit. Looks like shit.
But I'm still doing this show because I love all of you and I love doing this.
There we go. That's dedication right there.
Yeah.
Even though he should probably be quarantined, he does look like a pile of shit right now.
I really do. It starts from my feet and it's working its way up slowly. Like I'm turning into a giant POS right now.
Yeah, I mean, this time physically instead of just
Yeah.
personality wise.
This is advice you should always take. All right, so reason why I'm sick, I think, theory, before we start the show, I went on a week road trip that just passed. One of the reasons why there wasn't an episode last week because so the trip was amazing trip. If you have any chance to do a road trip, totally take advantage of it because it's great. The last night we were there, we went to a campsite that we didn't pay for because YOLO, and we all started a fire. We started eating food, having a good time, playing guitar, and I decided to go to bed. I didn't sleep under my sleeping bag. I slept on top, and then since we're in the mountains of Kentucky, it gets very cold. Very, very cold.
Yeah, it
and
sounds
I woke
a
up,
pretty bad idea.
I woke up at 5 a.m. shivering with shorts. I had shorts on. So I think that's why I'm sick.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad idea to do that.
Yes.
I think.
But if you knew the reason why I did it, you would understand. So that being said, let's continue with the show. So I am very sick, but it's okay. Like I said, I love doing this and I love you guys. So that's why I'm doing it. I might sound weird. I definitely sound sick.
Yeah, you definitely do. So just deal with it, and then you could, make fun of him or call him an asshole anyway.
Yeah.
So today, it's been almost 2 weeks now since Daredevil Season 2 was released. So we're going to be talking about that today. And Connor, I already mentioned my feelings about it, which I'll talk about again, but how did you feel about it?
I loved it. It was absolutely fantastic. Like, again, it just makes me go back and think of the lower percent score on Rotten Tomatoes, and to me that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense because I felt like so much of the show, even though I can't really think of any flaws offhand in the first season because the first season was literally one of the best first seasons of a television series I've ever seen. Like, if anything, it just improved on the strengths of what the first season already brought. Like, yeah, the villain wasn't as present, nor was there like an actual villain throughout most of the season, but that's what made it more. It didn't make it, but since it's a television series, it didn't seem all over the place. If it were a movie, because a movie is 2.5 hours, I could see why like someone would think, oh, it's all over the place because that normally is. But in a 13 episode season,
Yeah.
it perfectly balances out the time that you need to get to know the characters, and I thought it did it very well. And the new the Punisher and Elektra and the Hand Stick has a more prevalent role in this season.
Yeah.
And I think they balance it out very well and give everybody an arc and a character they can grow to love or hate depending on who it is. And I felt like that's really my overall feeling of season 2. That's why I like season 2 more, because it was a little riskier, and then you're also following up on such an impeccable first season. But yeah, it's really, really good. I highly recommend season 2. Not like it's also has one of the best fight scenes, not just on a television series, overall I've ever seen. I believe it's episode 3 or 4. The fight scene is, but I don't want to.
Hallway.
What's up?
The hallway scene.
Yeah, and the stairway scene.
We're gonna get into spoilers.
Yeah.
So if you want to stop now, go for it. Because we're gonna be talking about the whole season. We're gonna get into spoilers. So if you don't want to get spoiled, stop now. But you're talking about the hallway scene. I believe it's episode 3 at the end, or maybe the beginning of 4.
It's it's either or, but because episode 3 and 4 is essentially like the finale of like the Punisher, like of his, not the I shouldn't say that, the finale of.
It's like the climax, the peak in the climax.
The peak of the climax between the conflict between Daredevil and Punisher, but that doesn't mean Punisher's gone. In fact, he's barely gone.
Right.
He's actually has it towards the end. He has his role actually becomes much more imperative to the season.
Yeah, there's just a couple episodes that he's not prevalent.
Right.
But the first 4 episodes are like his arc. After that, for the next like 4 or so episodes, it's Elektra. Then a couple episodes of Stick, and then you get into the Hand. And Punisher comes back in there just like in smaller, in a smaller part of the story, but he still is
But he's still
crucial
important.
to
Yeah.
like the B plot or the C plot. And first of all, I just gotta. John Bernthal was absolutely amazing
Fantastic.
as Punisher.
Perfect
choicing.
casting. Yeah.
Definitely, like, honestly amazing. Especially if you like to be sold on it. Like, I was sold right away when I heard John Bernthal was gonna do it because he's a terrific actor.
Yeah.
He's been in a bunch of stuff. He's most well known for his Shane on The Walking Dead, which
Right. That's where he got his like big start, I think.
yeah, that's when he became like he grew in popularity. I mean, he's been on other stuff, but say what you will about the show, I personally don't like it anymore. But he was still excellent on that in his role and gave a great performance.
The first 3 seasons I think are great, and then after that it kind of goes downhill for me. The Walking Dead.
Yeah, but his performance as the Punisher was just unreal. And if you need to be sold on it, if you're not sold on it, like in the first or second episode, episodes 3 and 4, not only were they 2 of the best of the season and of the entire series, but they were just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Especially the scenes with him and Matt, like the rooftop scene in episode
yes.
3, after Punisher ties him to the chimney or some brick thing in chains and tapes a handgun to his hand, which was like ripped right out of the comics, but was handled very well. And then the graveyard scene in episode 4, where he has that monologue about his family dying. He goes from intense badass to like very, very emotional and nailed it perfectly. Like that monologue he gave in the cemetery, not gonna lie, it made me tear up a little bit.
Yeah, it's sad. It's very, very sad.
It was so sad and so well delivered that like you really feel for him, even though this guy's, I wouldn't really say a psychopath, but he just has psychopathic tendencies by just shooting the shit out of people.
He has
At
no
least he's
compromise.
killing. At least he's killing good, people who more or less deserve it.
Right. See, like Matt Murdock seems much more sane because there's a glimmer of hope in him. Whereas Punisher, there's no hope because if you're on that side, then you better watch out for me.
Right. He doesn't see redemption in people. He doesn't think people can be redeemed. Matt does. And one thing they did really well this season was demonstrate their conflicting ideologies, which, speaking of something else that came out a week after, they did a terrible job in Batman v Superman. At least Daredevil got it right.
Yeah. I mean, let's not even talk about Batman v
So
Superman.
that's a stark difference, but their physical battle and their conflict of their individual ideologies worked out really well, and it opened up Matt to second guess himself and his methods. Like one thing John Bernthal says, emphatically is Matt knocks people down, they get back up. Punisher knocks people down, they stay down, and they can't hurt anyone else. And throughout the season, Matt starts like seriously considering maybe I need to change it up. I mean, he felt that way a little bit in season 1, particularly towards the end of the season when like people he cared about ended up dying, and he was, debating on whether to kill Fisk. It gets much more intense in this season, and it's something that Matt really, really struggles with.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that a lot because, first of all, it was written really well, and then it brought the Priest from the first season back in. And I think the Priest has some of the best lines in the series.
That's the only thing, and it's not a criticism, it's just a disappointment. I just wish the Priest was in it more in this season.
Yeah, he's played fantastically well, and he gives like great advice. And he's a priest, but he is also a realist and is not afraid to, say something that may or may not, abide by God's word in his eyes. But, he's not ignorant of things that need to be done,
Right.
or just because he won't do them or condone them doesn't mean he's not willing to accept them and see, a necessity or why something like
Well,
that
in the
would
first
happen.
season, he explains that he's seen true evil, or like
Yeah.
he's seen the devil, and so I think he's almost like Punisher in a way where there is no compromise. It's either end.
Yeah, he accepts that some people are beyond redemption, and it's something that is actually prevalent in a lot of like superheroes conflicts. Like Batman, aside from his real usually no killing rule that doesn't apply in everything, but
Especially the most recent movie.
yeah, he also thinks that people are accepting this new movie. People can be redeemed, and it's because he tries to see the light in people, even though that there are some people who, first of all, don't deserve a chance, second chance to redeem themselves, and people who are just it'll never happen. So that's one of Matt's biggest conflicts throughout the season. Aside from stopping Punisher, he realizes that Punisher's doing good, but he can't stand the fact that people are being killed.
Right. And it's also just the fact the way they're being killed. It's not even it's execution style.
It is.
It's not in defense style. It's not in some sort of defense of like, well, he was killing me, like, or I found him, time to go to jail. It's I found you.
It's
and
like a
get on your
military
knees and-
onslaught.
Yeah.
And him being like he was in special ops, so he has like, if you, even his general in the trial scene says he's like the, picture perfect soldier, and he demonstrates that well, like including the first episode where they're looking at this dead body and you see this hole, and then it zooms out, and then it's just bullet wound that went straight through the guy that you can see completely out the other side, and he just no holds barred and just massacres people. And another big thing falls into the B plot, but it's good because it brings out the other not main characters, but like co-leads or secondary characters like Foggy and Karen. Punisher and Karen actually share a lot of screen time this season
Together, yeah.
and both help each other out, even though they're kind of using one another for their own means. But Karen sees good in him, sees that he can be redeemed, tries her hardest to get people to see that, even though public eye, he doesn't have the best reputation in the public eye, although there are a lot of supporters for him.
Yeah.
But so I thought that was a really interesting dynamic to put two people who are so broken, because we know Karen from season 1 has like a troubled history. Don't know exactly what. We got a smaller peek into that in this season, and hopefully in season 3, or even if she's in the Defenders, we get a little more background into it. But they're both like broken people, and if you aren't familiar with the Punisher, the reason he's broken is because his family was brutally murdered. Well, they weren't sought out to be murdered. They were bystanders
And a crossfire
in a
between
gang war.
Yeah.
But the way his family got caught in that and the results of like what happened to them are pretty terrifying. Especially, he says his daughter, like her brains were on him or something.
Yeah.
Something to that effect. So yeah, that's I can understand why he loses it more or less. But it set up really good connection between him and Karen that lasted throughout the end, and she thought she almost had him, almost saved him, and then that didn't work out too well. And in fact, the guy, his general, is actually General Wade Eiling, who was on The Flash, same actor.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. And fun fact, I just found this out the other day. The woman who played Vanessa in season 1 was Superman's mom in Man of Steel. Not Martha Kent, his real mom.
Oh, yeah.
I always forget her name, but Jor-El's wife. Yeah, and also in Batman v Superman, I guess these two companies are just reusing like extras and other characters from each other's movie, because
From Captain America Winter Soldier.
the Russian guy in Batman v Superman was one of the Hydra agents. Yeah, so you actually see a lot of crossover with that. Then the other main character we're introduced this season is Elektra, who has a lot of history with Matt and Daredevil in the comics, and
She's kind of funny in this series too, in a little way.
yeah, she is.
She has some good lines. Like there's a complete seriousness from the Punisher. Like from the Punisher, it's completely serious. Like if there's anything funny, it's unintentional. I didn't think anything was funny from him, which is good. That's not
actually the one thing he did that was funny was when he was in the pawn shop and the guy was offering him porn of like kitty porn. And he stopped, locked the door, and then
that was funny. But
he doesn't say anything funny.
Yeah,
he does not have humor.
But yeah, it's funny in a non-humorous way. Like it's like, holy crap! Like what did I just see?
Yeah.
Like almost like a nervous laughter you get from that. Elektra like actually has some good lines. Like the scene where the Hand comes and they're fighting. The first scene where they pretty much fight together when he's in this Daredevil suit.
Yeah.
And like after they kill everybody, she just pulls out her mask. She goes, "Hungry." Like it just asks him like normally.
Yeah, she kind of like during their fights is willing to crack jokes and doesn't really seem to take it that serious. Well, not that she doesn't take it serious, but she allows for humor to slip in and Matt's just like not having any of it.
Yeah.
So we find out more. She was actually referenced in the first season as Matt's Greek ex-girlfriend that he dated in college. So we get a little into that backstory here, and then where they're left off. She was actually trained by Stick as well. In case you don't remember Stick from the first season, he's the old blind guy that taught Matt to hone his senses and how to fight. And he comes back, and I love Stick. He's such an asshole.
Yeah,
and he's just like such
great.
an unrepenting asshole, and treats both Matt and Elektra like shit. At least Elektra now. He didn't used to treat Elektra like shit.
No, he did.
But Matt and Elektra's dynamic is pretty interesting because I don't think Matt really has a sense of humor too much, but Elektra kind of throws it in there. And even now, after they had a bad breakup many years ago, like there's still some sexual tension there.
Oh, absolutely.
And Matt has to be like, no, that's not happening, even though he probably wants to. Elektra is just, I think, toys with him a bit with that.
Yeah, it's like there's still feelings no matter what, because she was the only one that completely understood him.
Right.
Like knew who he was from the very beginning before Foggy. Foggy wasn't even supposed to know.
Right.
Well, there's other people that know, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, she was the only one that completely understood him. So yeah, there's a lot of sexual tension. There's a lot of emotional tension too. Even like when he was like being like, even with, like this is also a funny line. When Matt agrees to help her with her mission, like why she's over in New York, she like lays down like conditions to follow by. She goes, no sex, and he goes, like, are you that selfish?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, but they do reconnect a little bit towards the end of the season. Especially in the last episode, they basically are like planning as soon as that's done, let's go away.
Yeah, they straight up are going
to
run away together.
Yeah. And that also is a result of Matt and Karen's budding relationship that starts a little bit in the season just falling apart because Matt, as a superhero does, is not around a lot. Even during the trial of the Punisher, I mean, Matt and Foggy get into another huge fight, much like last season.
Yeah.
And so, like, Matt decides just not to come to the trial, and the one day he's there, he's just completely unprepared. But the trial was really good because it showed you mentioned this in one of our last Daredevil episodes that Foggy's a great lawyer, and it shows like his actual talent as a lawyer.
Yeah,
he gets his chance to shine.
I think he's the better lawyer than Matt, like 100%. I mean, also we don't get to see what Matt does because he's barely there. But.
Yeah, but it was good because Foggy really got to show like how talented he is.
Yeah,
and it worked out in the end because he got a job offer from Hogarth from Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
Who was Trinity in the Matrix series.
Well, yeah, she was Trinity. Trying to think what other movie she did. She did another Wachowski's movie. And also the actress was in Memento.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was trying to remember.
funny that you couldn't remember it about a movie about
The guy who can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, two best friends are at odds. End up making up later, standard type of thing. But at first, Foggy really started to accept it for a bit.
Yeah.
And then some events led to some serious tension, and then eventually they both agreed just to dissolve the firm. Their firm of 3 people.
Right. The firm where they didn't make any money.
Yeah, they got paid in food, pretty much.
Yeah, that's why. That's why I was kind of
like, I don't understand. You brought this up, how can they afford to live? Although Karen probably still has money left over from the Union Allied settlement, but still, how can you keep a fucking law firm in New York City? I mean, at least they're getting fed, but they should be homeless.
I think they were getting paid, but they just didn't really emphasize on it. You can't get paid by food by every client, especially after the reputation they built.
Yeah. I mean, they took down Wilson Fisk, and that's how they got known. And it's a huge deal because of the things he did and how powerful of a person he was. So they get this reputation. They're still getting not great cases.
Right.
And then they start once they're tasked with trying to help out Punisher, they're getting really blackballed by the DA.
Yeah. Straight up screwed over.
Yeah.
DA's a huge.
See you next Tuesday.
Yeah.
But she gets hers in the end.
Yeah, she gets her comeuppance.
Yeah, so Matt and Foggy's relationship takes a hit again, and then towards the end, it doesn't really recover at the end of the season.
No, it doesn't.
In the end of season 1, I mean, their relationship started souring. Episode 10, over the last couple episodes, they were able to build it back, and they had it for a little bit. But this season, it didn't. It was beyond repair almost.
Yeah, and it's kind of it's a fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And I think that's how Foggy feels. He's like, I can't believe I went for this again. I'm kind of fed up with it. I can't take it. And you can see where he's coming from. It affects their work life, which is essentially affects their real life and their friendship. And Matt sees that too. That's why I think they were able to dissolve the firm, because I don't know. I think in season 3 they're gonna be friends again, but they're not. I don't think they can work together.
Probably not. Which would make sense, but they gotta repair that friendship at least. And Karen even, all 3 of them separated at one point because neither, they were all in conflict with one another. Karen was still kind of on the sidelines from it, but she eventually got fed up with it, as she did with Matt.
She didn't know what was going on,
yeah,
which was her problem, which was the problem she had. She's like, I don't know what the deal is with Matt.
Yeah, well, Foggy he did say, yeah, Matt has a drinking problem. That's why you always see him hurt and not around. And Karen starts getting annoyed with it, especially as they start dating, as you would make sense. And Matt just not letting her in, not giving her anything to work with. So eventually she's just like, all right, I don't want to see you anymore. And then the one time that after Elektra was seriously wounded, Karen went to Matt's apartment and found her in his bed, and that kind of sealed the deal right there.
Yeah, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. So, but that's sour too. But at the end, finally, I was expecting her to find out sooner, and not the way she did at the end of the season. The very last scene of the season, Karen finally finds out that Matt's Daredevil because he tells her and brings her the helmet. And I was kind of expecting her to find out earlier in the season. I kind of felt how Iris didn't know Barry was in the Flash, was the Flash until almost the end of the first season. I expected her to find it out sooner, especially because they have less episodes.
And especially all the signs were pointing in that direction.
Yeah.
Strange people are at his house. He's getting bruised up every day. But he still happens to know where you are as Daredevil.
Yeah.
All the signs were pointing in that direction. But at the same time, it makes logical sense that she wouldn't think it was Matt because he's blind.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, he has that working for him for keeping his identity secret.
Yeah,
Plus, she did have a lot going on. She almost got killed like a million times this season. And
dude,
was like,
she's like the new
and
Lois Lane.
and got abducted like every other
Yeah.
episode or something. She went through a lot of shit in this series so far.
Yes, like way more than most people go through their entire lives.
And I'm surprised she's not like
Catatonic,
or like
emotionally
into
catatonic. Yeah,
hardcore drugs or anything like that. Yeah, but finally at the end of the season, he goes, "Karen, I'm Daredevil." I was expecting her to find out when she was taken hostage, and Matt freed those hostages in the warehouse. Like, I think it was the last episode.
it was the second to last.
Or second to last, yeah. And he like grabs her face and like talking to her. It's not like he disguises his voice or anything. I was expecting her to be like,
That sounds just
Matt.
like Matt.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Matt, he's touching me like Matt. Whatever. But whatever. And then like people were complaining. You brought up before about the like amount of arcs and characters and villains. Punisher started off as a villain. He had a villainous arc for like the first 4 episodes,
Right.
but eventually just went to anti-hero, which is his normal categorization. And then the Hand was pretty much the overarching villain. They just didn't have a huge presence until like Elektra showed up.
Right. It wasn't. Yeah, exactly.
And
It
even
wasn't-
then, you just thought it was the Yakuza, the Japanese mob.
which I thought was smartly done because it was the opposite. Because the Hand doesn't want to know they exist, so it makes sense. Like, you remember? Okay, this is gonna sound weird. This could be a weird comparison, but remember that movie, The Village, by M. Night
Yes.
Shyamalan? What did they name those monsters?
I don't even remember.
They said,
to be honest.
"Those we do not speak of." Those are the
yeah.
name of the monsters. But every 5 lines, it was, "We can't talk about those we do not speak of," and they said it 100 times. So while, like, yes, there isn't a main villain, like, prevalent force here, but that's good because it's the Hand who wants to be secret from society.
Exactly, that's their goal.
That's
They're an
their-
ancient secret
Yeah.
organization.
So, like, it makes sense that they're not that they're present, but they're not really present.
Yeah,
So that's why I liked it a lot. So like movies and TV shows do that. Like, it's like, we're a super secret society. Everyone in the show knows who we are. Like, it's and like that's annoying and it's lazy. But like the Daredevil does it really good.
yeah, and it makes sense because he had to deal with the Punisher first before he even realized that the Yakuza and the Hand were doing anything. And even then, they weren't like going out and doing a lot, like terrorizing the city or anything. They were building up and getting their shit ready for Black Sky and this literal demon called the Beast. They didn't say that. Well, they said that they worshipped him, but they never said they were bringing it back. But you could tell that's what they were setting up for, if you knew that.
Yeah.
And that's what they ultimately were trying to do. They recovered this like tomb or chamber or something. I don't even know what it was. It looked like a concrete casket.
Yeah, it was
with
like a
ancient writing
catacomb
on
of
it.
some sort.
Yeah. So that was their main goal. And if you've seen that, and the episode where Matt and Elektra find that giant pit. They never really address why that pit was there, but I think it was because they were getting that tomb or whatever the hell that thing was.
Yeah,
I think
they
it was
were
just buried that far beneath that they had to pick it up.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. And I'm going to get back to that in a minute, but that was the Hand's goal. They weren't trying to be Wilson Fisk and take over the entire city. They just wanted to get their weapons so they could bring back this thing and they could assert themselves and finish the war against the Chaste, which Stick finally tells Matt about. The Chaste being the secret organization that Stick works for, that he tried training Matt to be a warrior for, that he ultimately trained Elektra to be a warrior for.
But look how those turned out.
Yeah. Which leads to good conflict between Stick and Elektra, because after Elektra decides to not join Stick and stay with Matt, he tries to have her killed. Doesn't work out well. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, or however that phrase goes.
Yeah.
Especially one who has some serious ninja skills.
Or yeah, like or Elektra. I mean, that like it's really well done how, even though like I know we're getting a little too, I guess maybe I'm getting a little too far, that's what I'm hesitant to say, but as far as like the backstory between Stick and Elektra is really good.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
Because in the first season and before we find out like their history together, from what we know with Stick's history with Matt, he's just like his only goal is to train a warrior with no feelings, just to fight this war. But with Elektra, he comes to her as he finds her as a little girl as well, and he trains her and starts to actually care for her like a daughter,
Yeah.
and does everything to protect her, even killing that other member of the Chaste that tried putting Elektra down. And ultimately brings her to the ambassador to be part of his family for her protection. So you see a different side of Stick that I wasn't really expecting.
The carrying side. Yeah, carrying side, because when we last saw Stick in season 1, he was known for just abandoning Matt
Yeah.
right away.
Yeah.
And so like it's weird to see, not it's weird, but it's also cool to see that like there is more to him than just this guy who trains.
Right.
He actually like he belongs to he himself believes he belongs to a higher purpose.
Yeah, which is to serve the chase, to defeat the hand. Regardless, another pretty much a villain, particularly for the Punisher, is the Blacksmith, who is the largest heroin dealer pretty much anywhere, even bigger than Madame Gao, who you remember from season 1 as the Chinese woman heroin dealer who worked with Fisk. And we get to see her again, which is good because I have a feeling she's going to show up in the Iron Fist series.
Same. Yeah.
Because her and Iron Fist, at least in the comics, have a history. So I think that they're going to bring her back for that.
Yeah, I think they're going to bring her back, and also too, I mean, it's a hint in season 1 that she could fight. She like kind of like starts to move.
Yeah, even though she's old, she can still hold her own.
Right, which was like a huge. I mean, like again, like for non-comic people who are just watching, that's huge. Like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah,
because they don't address it in season 2, which is great because you see and you're like, is she gonna fight again? And she doesn't. So it's like, when is she gonna show that again?
yeah. I actually like Matt's interactions with some villain, or not villains, but well, she's a villain, but like criminals from the past season, like that black guy who's like, he's a weapons dealer. He helped the Russians with guns and try to get that kid.
He also was he was a middleman for human trafficking.
Yeah,
too.
that guy. I like how this season, like, Matt goes to him for information, and he's just like, "Come on, D, like, we got to do this now."
Yeah.
It's funny, like that interaction, and even his interaction with Madame Gao was like really reserved, and she was making jokes with him, and it was a little more lighthearted, even though he's specifically trying to get information. And the Blacksmith, we find out, was responsible for the gang war that resulted in Frank Castle, the Punisher's family, dying. So that's what he's setting out. Once he learns of that, discovers that, his mission is to kill the Blacksmith, who ends up being his former commanding officer. I forget the guy's name, but General Wade Eiling from The Flash, which you don't find out till late in the episode. And actually, Karen finds out. We see Karen find it out before Frank does. Because when at the scene with the boat where those men show up after Frank and Daredevil fought on it, we see one of the thugs get out and he goes, "Oh, hey, Frank, long time." And Frank immediately recognizes him. But we don't know who that is until Karen goes to the general's house.
Right.
And he sees the picture of him with Frank and then that soldier that Frank recognized. After she was in the middle of that firefight. So then, as usual, the Blacksmith just takes her prisoner, driving her down this wooded path, and boom, gets slammed into a truck. By a truck.
Yeah.
Driven by Frank, who ultimately ended up getting his revenge on that guy, which was satisfying. Karen tried to get him to stop, but I think at that point you couldn't save him.
No, he was beyond saving.
Yeah, despite her best efforts. Now, the fight choreography this season was still really good.
I thought it was better.
Yeah, it was. And you know
And
what?
the first season wasn't even bad. It was great.
Right. But with this, they had, they brought in different characters fighting sequence. Like we see Elektra's new fighting style, or not new, but her fighting style. Matt's adaptation, since last season. Then we got Punisher, who's like, again, brute force and guns, but can still, kick the shit out of people with his bare hands.
Yeah, he can still fight.
Like that his own basically version of the hallway fight in the prison.
Yep.
Where Fisk locks him in there after to take care of a loose end,
and he just murders.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
he killed like a whole bunch of fucking lowlifes. And the one take hallway scene in episode 3 or 4 when Matt is whipping around that chain.
That was the most badass thing I've ever seen.
Oh my god,
I just yawned completely. That was the most badass thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, the way he uses that chain much like the real Ghost Rider would. Not the Nick Cage version, but like how Ghost Rider actually would. He could pull it off as his, standard weapon.
Yeah, but it's a little foreshadowing to a weapon that he gets later on in the...
Yeah, his signature billy club baton thing. It's kind of hard to describe. It's like a mixture of nunchucks, a billy club, and a grappling hook all in one.
It's pretty much like a Swiss Army knife of... like for weapons.
Yeah, and it looks just like a baton.
Right.
And that again was made by Melvin Potter from season 1, who made his armor. And he gives him a new armor in this after Punisher point blank shoots Matt in the head and like completely fucked up his senses for a whole day. After which I think led to one of Foggy's breaking points, because Matt gets shot point blank in the head, and he's lucky that armor, that helmet was really good, because he straight up would have died. But he's unconscious, and Foggy goes to like 5 or 6 different buildings in this one block vicinity looking for him, and finds him completely unconscious. So, it's just another strike against like Matt and Foggy's relationship, because it puts him in such a strain that Foggy's, especially with somebody who's willing to kill like that Matt's going to die. Yeah. Which is his biggest concern. And then even Foggy gets into some shit this season. Like, he got hurt a bunch, too.
Yeah, he was in, I want to say that it's not the Hells Angels.
That biker gang.
Yeah.
Whatever their name was. Yeah, he was looking for...
Dogs of Hell.
Dogs of Hell, yeah. Who were one of the members that were involved in that gang war. Yeah, he gets his ass kicked. A whole bunch of shit happens to him. And then Nobu was back, and that led to another great fight.
That was...
If you don't remember, Nobu was that ninja in the red suit in episode 9 who destroyed Matt with that awesome weapon before being set on fire. But he's brought back to life by the Hand because of their mysticism, which I'm glad that even before Doctor Strange comes out, we're starting to see some more mysticism. Which also leads to Black Sky, which led to those kids that they had set up that they are draining their blood. Yeah, that was pretty creepy.
Yeah, it was very creepy.
And that took over a couple episodes, and that got pretty much every one of the main characters aside from Punisher involved, because Matt had to track him down. Elektra, helps him out with that. Then he brings them to the hospital, but unrecorded, so that nobody knows they're there. Which brings back Claire, Night Nurse, who we also saw in Jessica Jones, who mentions Luke Cage without saying his name, actually. And then it brings Foggy into the mix. He's in the hospital when they're there, and the Hand's ninjas come out, basically like take over the hospital. And
which was an incredible sequence.
Absolutely. And what was really interesting about it is that they are able to basically silence their heartbeats. Well, to a point, but I think that before I get into that, like, so Matt's unable to detect them. That's usually how he's able to detect people. He listens for their heartbeat. So Matt really struggles against these guys for almost the the rest of the season up until Stick.
He has to hear their weapons first, which sometimes which is too dangerous.
Yeah, and they even see that, so they drop their weapons, or like use something that's not as doesn't give it away as much as a sword, and they pick up on that and they use it against him. But one thing that was really weird with them, which also goes back to the mysticism and to Nobu's resurrection, is they're able to kill one of those hand ninjas, and when they're going to perform an autopsy, they remove his shirt and they see that it has the typical stitching of an autopsy.
Yeah.
So they're like, and it throws them off because they're like, somebody already performed an autopsy, but this guy was just fighting.
But it's healed.
And it's perfectly healed. Yeah, it's not like fresh. It's scarred over completely. So I think the reason Matt couldn't hear their heartbeat is because
they're dead.
They were dead. Those were removed, and they were just revived. Which is part of the whole hands thing. They're capable of reviving people, as we can see with Nobu. Even though I don't think Nobu is going to get up anytime soon.
No, especially for what happened, what Stick did to him.
Just straight up.
And for someone called Stick, he carries a lot of swords.
He does.
Yeah,
he does, and he's quite good with them.
Yeah, he's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Not as sick as I am, but he's sick.
Clearly not. But like the season introduced a lot of elements, and I think they did them really well. And we again got the Jessica Jones connection, and I think they started referencing a little bit here and there. They mentioned gifted individuals a little bit more, and I think that what they're starting to reference is
Spider-Man.
Not Spider-Man, but the Inhumans. Given the Inhuman outbreak on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., if you've been keeping up with that. Which
I haven't.
Obviously. But that hasn't factored into this season. But I think at some point, they're on a Netflix show, it's going to be acknowledged, and then eventually in the movies, probably. Maybe even in Civil War, who knows. But then we get the Luke Cage reference. And even at the end of once you finish the season, there's a teaser trailer for Luke Cage. Which was great. It's just him standing there in this like gym or something, and these guys just unload on him with bullets, and he's just standing there chill, and they're all bouncing off him. He's like, "I guess you guys haven't heard of me. I'm really sick of buying new clothes," and then just kicks the shit out of him. So I'm really looking forward to that, which will be September 30th.
It's too far away.
I know, but that gives you time to rewatch Daredevil.
Like 3 times.
Yeah, like 3 times. I just rewatched the first season, and I'm going to be watching. And I a quarter through the way of restarting Jessica Jones. Then I go back to Daredevil season 2.
Oh, I restarted Jessica Jones on episode 9, actually.
Yeah, which we'll probably talk about.
To be honest,
that
I kind of forgot like what happened, so I was like, I got to rewatch this.
Yeah, we'll talk about that eventually. And then at the end of the season, the big twist is that Elektra is actually Black Sky,
which was actually a pretty interesting twist. I saw it coming, like leading up to like that episode where they reveal it, but it was still a good reveal.
I think so too. Because excuse me.
No, I won't excuse you.
It was a good twist, and it just like increased the severity of the situation that Matt, Stick, and Elektra found themselves in, and she starts to give into it a little bit. She's finally like, this is what's been wrong with me my whole life. Like, this is the reason for like my bloodlust and my desire to kill. Blah blah blah. And she starts to accept it, while Matt's trying to basically to get her to like overcome it and be like, no, listen, you're a good person. You've done terrible things. You don't have to let this be you.
Right, it's his philosophy, even for someone who's destined to be a killer.
Yeah, he feels that she's redeemable, and he tries to convince her of that, and it works.
Yep,
it ends up working. I mean, for a minute there, it seemed like it wasn't going to, but it ends up working. And so Matt and her finally decide to take down the hand, and they do it on top of this rooftop, and there's like 100 or even more ninjas, and it's just like this great fight, massive brawl between the two of them, and they just start like, Matt's not killing, but can you really kill what's already dead? But great fight between them, those ninjas, and then Nobu, and then Punisher shows up.
Yep.
Finally, at the end,
Finally.
the Deus Ex Machina, and he painted the skull on his body armor, so we get the signature look of him, and that was great. He blew away a couple ninjas, and then just like him and Matt gave one another a nod, and then he kind of just bounced. But yeah, he's definitely gonna be back. I expect him to be in the Defenders.
I think he's going to be.
And speaking of the Defenders, I think at the end, Nobu ends up killing Elektra because Elektra takes gets stabbed to defend Matt. Like she jumps in to intervene, Nobu trying to kill Matt, and she ends up dying. Which pretty emotional for Matt. It's
But also Nobu too, I think, realized like what he did.
yeah. He realized like, wow, our mission's fucked.
Yeah, like oh crap, like everything I worked for is
Just killed our greatest weapon. That's gonna bring back the thing we follow. But it ends up working out for him because of those kids that they were draining their blood. I guess they got enough of it that they were able to use that and Elektra's dead body, which the hand dug up after that 2-person funeral.
Yeah.
And placed her in that tomb. And I think, this is just me speculating. We don't really know, but I think whatever they're going to use Elektra's body to turn her into is going to be the villain of the Defender series. And that's how all the heroes are going to unite. That's just my theory and speculation. Don't really know.
I know, but I thought the same thing, actually. I think that's... I wasn't as solidified. I was like, oh, it's a villain for season 3 of Daredevil. And I was like, but wait, they're doing the Defenders.
Yeah, the Defenders is going to happen most likely, hopefully, before season 3 of Daredevil. I mean, it would make sense that it would be after that. But, because it's going to be this... The thing they're trying to summon and turn her into is like a literal demon.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is. So, obviously, Matt, a blind guy with no superpowers, is going to need help. So he's going to get help, presumably from the Punisher. I have a feeling he's definitely going to be
Punisher,
involved.
Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist.
And then who knows who else. But, that's... The Punisher's not confirmed for that lineup. It's just Matt, or Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist. They're the confirmed lineup. But with how well received John Bernthal's performance is, both by fans, critics, Netflix, and Disney Marvel, I think he's definitely going to be involved in that.
It's so weird that this is Disney, technically,
right?
this show.
Because these Netflix series, Daredevil and Jessica Jones, is like nothing Disney has pretty much ever done.
No, yeah.
It's like the complete opposite of whatever they aim for.
It's kind of like... It's like Disney technically owns it, but they're like, their name's not on it.
Right.
It's ABC Television, which is owned by Disney.
Well, that's for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
What's up?
That's for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, well, but it's still ABC Television. Like it's still the same. Like if you watch, I'm pretty sure if you put on like at the end of the credits, it's ABC Studios or something like that. Because there's still a studio that they
it's Marvel TV Studios.
It's Marvel TV Studios, which is technically ABC, which is technically, I'm pretty sure, yeah, but still, it's Disney property.
Yeah.
So it's just funny, like to think like you're watching this guy like get a drill through his foot, and it's Disney.
Yeah. I guess even Disney has their dark side. But yeah, I think that's how the Defenders are going to have to end up coming together. Maybe Claire is going to bring them all and be like, hey, I got this friend who's blind but can kick ass, and I know this girl who has powers and this black guy who has unbreakable skin and super strength. And then maybe she'll show up in Iron Fist, be like, oh yeah, this guy has, he can summon ki in his hands, and he punched the dragon in the heart.
Yeah,
got powers from it, and bring it all together. And they just cast the female lead for Iron Fist. I don't know what character she's going to play, but she was also on Game of Thrones. So her and the guy playing Danny Rand, I think his name is Finn Jones, both from Game of Thrones, going to show up on that. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But next is going to be Luke Cage, towards the end of this year. Then probably early next year, around March or April, I would say Jessica Jones Season 2 is coming out. I think that's going to start production soon. and then the end of the year, like the fourth quarter, like September, October, November, around then would be Iron Fist, and then hopefully, early spring of 2018, we'll finally see the Defenders.
Yeah, which would be sick.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. It's gonna be good because while these characters are all popular comics wise, like they're kind of A-level heroes, more so, like especially Daredevil.
Daredevil's, I believe,
I would say is A-level.
yeah, like A- level.
Yeah, and then Luke Cage for a while was like an A-level, but now he's more like a B-level.
I would say C level.
You think so now?
Yeah, in the 80s, because in the 70s, and when there wasn't a lot of black superheroes, he was more prevalent because it was new and fresh. Now, Luke Cage is kind of like that guy. It's like, oh wow, it's hero for hire, Power Man.
Fair enough. Yeah, and that's how Jessica Jones is like. I would definitely say C.
I think Luke Cage can go back up to being an A hero, kind of like what happened with Captain Marvel or Shazam.
Yeah,
there was a point in Shazam or Captain Marvel where he was just as popular as Superman and Batman, but
and kind of
he died. He
off
died
for a little bit. Yeah,
like not in the comics, but just popularity wise. But now he's back, and he's back stronger than ever. I love Captain Marvel, so I think the same thing's gonna. I can see the same thing happening to Luke Cage.
Yeah, I think so. And it's going to give them a chance to shine without being in an Avengers movie.
Right.
Which hopefully the Defenders show up in one of the two parts of the Infinity War.
That would be cool.
I know the Russo brothers have talked about it, how they want to do that. They want to include them. But like, even though they're both Marvel Studios, which does the movies and Marvel TV, are not very cooperative with one another. So that's why you haven't seen or heard like what happens on the shows referenced in the movies, but the shows reference what happens in the movies all the time.
Right.
So
the show has to follow the movies.
Yeah, but it's easier for them to do it given their production schedule and like how they can change. They could have a script set up for 13 episodes, or for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they could write a new one every week.
Yeah.
And then when the movie comes out, they just adjust it. But the movie, it's a little more difficult. That could change going forward, from Civil War onwards.
Movie production is much more complicated.
Yeah, there's a huge difference. And the scheduling is different, and like the scripts, the timing of the scripts when they're written, and like, what they have to set up is much more complicated and rigorous for the movies versus the shows.
There's much more people involved too.
Yeah, so that's why you haven't yet heard really any reference to what happened on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Daredevil, or Jessica Jones. That could change, and I'm hoping it does. I want the TV series to be acknowledged in the movies because they all are in the same universe. It's not like how DC has made their movies and their TV shows two separate universes.
Right.
And that when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was announced, that was one of their goals, to connect it and have it referenced and be referenced in the movies. But I'm just hoping that for Infinity War, I would have loved for Daredevil and Punisher to be involved in Civil War. I mean, they really could be, but we just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think there's like a 1% chance.
I think something would have gotten out by now. Like,
yeah.
I'm also kind of like, even if they do, I don't want to know. Like I'm all cool. I'm all for like seeing Spider-Man in the new trailer. I thought it was an amazing reveal, but a part of me is still like, man, I wish I waited to the movies to see it.
Yeah, but that was kind of hard to resist. But
yeah, I know it is. It's hard. It's hard. It's like knowing you have. It's like knowing that you have candy and waiting for the next day to eat it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but I'm hoping, given the scope of how many characters they want to have for the Infinity War movies, and just how big these movies are going to be, I have a feeling that they're going to try and get some of the heroes from the TV series to be in it. Defenders, and then a couple of characters from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., particularly Daisy, aka Sky, Quake, because she has powers now. And I think it would just be great to be on scene. And I want to see the main Avengers team like find out that Coulson's still alive.
Yeah.
I want to see that happening. Maybe in Civil War, I doubt it, but I want Coulson back in the movie universe because I love Coulson.
Yeah, he was the coolest part of Avengers 1. Like,
Yeah.
one of the coolest, I should say.
Yeah, he's the man. So that about wraps it up for Daredevil season 2.
It was fantastic.
It was fantastic. Yeah, we're not going to do like a episode by episode recap. This is pretty much what we're going to do for that.
Especially, I kind of like this a little better because now, as much as I like doing the episode by episode review, it now gives us more opportunity to just talk about other things besides the episodes.
Right. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, we'll probably do something similar like this for Jessica Jones at some point. Probably if we don't do it
very soon.
Yeah, if we don't do it soon, it'll definitely be before Luke Cage.
In fact, that's probably when we should plan to do it because
Yeah.
I'm rewatching Jessica Jones now. I'll give another rewatch before Luke Cage, or I mean, it depends.
Yeah, because I feel like that's going to have more carryover Jessica Jones to Luke Cage than Daredevil to Luke Cage.
Right.
Especially because of how much Luke Cage was involved in the first season of Jessica Jones. So we'll do something for that.
Yeah, he's like a main character.
Yeah. Do something for that. Let us know what you thought of this season. Let us know what you think about Connor sounding like a sick asshole on this episode.
Yeah, I hate the sound of my own voice in general. Like when I'm not sick, like I can't wait to hear what I sound like now.
Yeah, it probably sounds wonderful. And then be on the lookout. We're going to be doing a Batman versus Superman podcast episode. One with spoilers.
It's gonna be yeah. Even though my couch review had spoilers, I don't normally do that. I kind of had to get it out there.
Well, to be fair, most of it was spoiled in the second trailer.
Yeah,
anyway.
that's actually it's not my fault.
Yeah, so you really didn't spoil anything that wasn't already spoiled. But yeah, we're gonna get more in depth with that. Probably next weekend. With our Dan Spikowski is gonna be the guest on that.
Our good friend Dan Spikowski, who is the man who deserves the credit for the photo shoot that we did, and like the photo that we use now for the Awesome Sunday show.
Yeah, they came out really well. I think I have another 3 or so that he sent me that I haven't put up, but I'll put those up.
Also, I'm not revealing it now, but I will give you a little hint. We do have surprise guests that are coming soon.
Yeah, either this week or next.
Yeah, it's gonna be within 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then this is going to be. We only did one episode this week, which is this one. That's because we were both away. We'll get back to doing 2 episodes starting this coming week.
Yeah, that vacation. I was on vacation.
Yeah, so was I. So whatever. At least
how was your vacation?
It was pretty good.
Baltimore?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
And did DC. A lot of walking. My legs were sore as hell,
Yeah, same. I did a lot of hiking.
but saw a lot of cool shit. Had some good food.
Yeah,
Um,
same. The vacations require. I mean, I don't understand how people gain weight on vacation because I walk everything I eat.
depends where you're staying.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, so and like I said previously, the topics we're going to do during the week are going to be a little more broad. They're not going to be comic specific. So we currently have ideas for those, but if you have suggestions yourselves, let us know. If you want to come on, talk about those things. Again, not Evan. Let us know, and we'll be happy to set that up. And follow us on Twitter. My Twitter is at RickPatMick.
My Twitter's at LessonConnor.
And then we have the Awesome Sunday Show Twitter, which is at Awesome Sun Show.
Yeah, because Twitter doesn't let you have enough characters for your handle.
Yeah, the characters thing gets to be annoying.
It's why I like Twitter and why I hate Twitter.
Yeah.
Like I like it because I'm like I don't have to hear like I scroll through my Facebook and it's someone who writes a whole paragraph on like why men are evil or why
like a
women are
10-page
bitches.
essay.
Like or just like or like why Donald Trump should be president or why he shouldn't be president. It's like, dude, like I don't care about your life. Like Twitter is like perfect, 140 characters, but at the same time, when I'm trying to get a message out there about the new episode of Awesome Sunday Show,
I sound like 3 broken up ones.
yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah. And then follow Connor's movie review channel, The Couch Review, which is just The Couch Review on Twitter, right?
Yeah, it's actually the couch review. I'm pretty sure I filled up all the characters doing that.
Yeah. And then if you want to find that on YouTube, obviously just look on his Facebook, Twitter, or mine. We retweet it all the time. And then if you go to our YouTube channel, it's one of the featured channels on the side, or the only featured channel on the side.
Yeah.
So check out for that. And just have an awesome week.
Yeah, have a awesome Sunday. I hope you had a great Easter. and a good spring break. Hope you had a safe. And if your spring break's coming up, hope you have a safe spring break.
Yeah, enjoy it. Don't go to like Cancun and get your kidney stolen or something.
Yeah, or don't go camping and then don't sleep in a sleeping bag when it's like 30 degrees.
Yeah, it's probably
Yeah.
best idea. All right.
Have a good one.